1 minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
One of the biggest advantages that conservatives have is their media presence. Conservatives have a wealth of radio talk shows, podcasts, and YouTube channels that allow them to effectively spread their message. We should have the same on the left as well. This is why I want you to go to growleft.liberaldan.com. We are at a turning point in the history of this country. There is no reason why the ultra-conservatives and MAGA types should be as successful as they have been. Extremist conservative ideas are unpopular, while left-wing ideas like Medicare for all, abortion rights, and marriage equality are at all-time highs. But they have the messaging, and we need to build up our radio shows, podcasts, and YouTube channels to fight back against their extremist conservative messages. Liberal Dan Radio has partnered with Levelfield to help us use tools that are typically only available to big money donors. When you give a contribution at growleft.liberaldan.com, you will be doing two things. That money will be spent advertising causes on the left, like body autonomy, marriage equality, voting rights, and in support of or opposition of candidates. And that commercial airtime will be spent on smaller shows, podcasts, and YouTube channels to help them grow larger and be more successful. We get to kill two birds with one stone, but I can't do it alone. I need your help. So please go to growleft.liberaldan.com and make your contribution today. That's growleft.liberaldan.com. growleft.liberaldan.com. Political advertising paid for by Levelfield. Contributions are not tax deductible as charitable contributions.
Talk from the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, it's area code 914-803-4131. That's 914-803-4131. Just make sure to leave your area code that you're calling from in the YouTube chat so I can see who you are to make sure you're not a troll or anything like that. You can also leave your comments in the YouTube chat. And if you're listening after the live broadcast, you can leave your comments, questions, concerns, etc. over at the show thread at liberaldan.com, at facebook.com/liberaldan, or at liberaldanradio on Twitter, or here on the YouTube thread as well. Lots of stuff to talk about today. It is Turkey Day, or day before Turkey Day Eve, I guess. So we will be, we're still doing a regular show as normal, because I didn't have any special plans this week. We just stayed home this year again, and who knows when the next time we'll travel out of town for Thanksgiving will be. Anyway, a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to be talking about the Turkey of the Year in between other issues. So if you have a nomination for who is your Turkey of the Year, or just who you're saying your Turkey of the Year is, just make sure to throw it in the chat and let me know. We can discuss that and others, and I don't necessarily have one in particular one that I would pick out, but there's a lot of people for various reasons who should be called out as a turkey, and not necessarily one that should get pardoned. If you want to support the show, you can always go to patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com and support the show monthly for as little as $3. You can also support the show by going to liberaldan.com and click the Buy Me a Cider button, or go buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio, and that will do a one-time purchase. Or you could also Venmo me as well. The QR code is there, or it's at liberaldan on Venmo as well. One of the best things you could do, again, is to, if you haven't subscribed to the show already, please make sure to do so. So subscribe to the show, share videos that you happen to like, and I'm trying to still get that push. I guess I'm going to make a end of year target now for reaching 1,000 subs. Let's see if we can get there as well. Because once we do that, I should have enough views to be able to qualify for monetization, and then you have another option to support the show as well, and you could send super chats and stuff like that too, which would be neat. I'd like to be able to have that as well. So in the chat so far, we got Chucker John, Nick, the Mod Squad, Aaron and Jolie, Jeff Curry, Megan, Kimchi. Who else am I missing? I think that's everybody who's said hello in the chat so far, so thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. Aaron says she is her own turkey, a gobble gobble. Nick Rich, Turkey has a big problem with Russia, but I think everybody should be having a big problem with Russia right now. Should Vladimir Putin be the turkey of the year, considering the fact that not only did he invade Ukraine and continues to do so in a very terroristic way, but he also is losing the war. You know, you wouldn't think, if you would have bet me money, said, well, Russia's going to invade Ukraine, and Russia's going to be losing the war and won't, I would have not taken that bet. I would have said no, that if Russia really wanted to take out Ukraine, it would take out Ukraine. Nope. Russia is dropping the ball like crazy. Now, they're still killing people that they shouldn't kill. They're still, committing horrible atrocities, etc. But that doesn't make him any less of a turkey. So, Turkey of the Year. Kimchi, shared on dying Twitter, but shared nonetheless. Elon Musk. Is Elon Musk your turkey of the year? It could very well be. He's bringing back accounts from the dead that probably should have been left there, and thinking that I'm Mr. Free Speech, not understanding that free speech has nothing to do with whether or not somebody is allowed to use your site or not. Now, if he wants to add those people back, but just like everybody else should be doing, every time I see a sponsored ad, I just say, I don't like this ad, ignore it, and trying to reduce the total amount of ads that I see on Twitter to make sure that they're not getting ad revenue from my activity on it. I have moved over I have created, I think I have both a Hive and a Mastodon now, both of which are Liberal Dan Radio, so you can find me over there on both of those places too. Trying to be consistent, at least with the naming of everything, so even though I still have liberaldan.com is also liberaldanradio.com, and I'm trying to work on the Liberal Dan Radio page on Facebook, because I have Liberal Dan and Liberal Dan Radio both on there. So anyway, let's see. Thankful I got invited out, so I've still never cooked a turkey in my 56 years. I mean, I don't think I've specifically cooked a turkey either. My wife makes some delicious turkey. I mean, it's like a bourbon injected turkey with herb butter put underneath the skin, and it's so delicious. She makes really, really good turkey. You should be jealous. Herschel has a badge and an upcoming erection. Yes, we all know about Herschel Walker's erection. Herschel Walker's erection has put him in a lot of trouble, especially with all his previously paid for abortions. As Hal said, you shouldn't be too hard on him. I've said he's having erectile dysfunction. What's the other thing I said? I don't know. I forget. I even forget now. There was another pun that I made. Megan, I'm the bourbon injected part of my turkey. Well, champagne infused, nice. I've joined Discord and Mastodon, but still dark till after the holidays. Fair enough. I also have a Discord. Automatic entry to the Discord happens if you support the Patreon. So that's another benefit to supporting the Patreon, is jumping into the Discord. And if we had more people in it, perhaps we might be a little more active in it. So it's kind of those which comes first, chicken or the egg? Do I become more active in it before lots of people are there, or do I become more active only once people have joined it? So we'll see. Anyway, wait, Donald, where are you? There you are.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So I was about to play a clip, but I still need to upload it. So I do have a hypocrite of the week this week, which is good. So we'll be uploading that shortly, and then we'll get to play it because always try and have a hypocrite of the week. Let's name it correctly. 2022 hypocrite of the week. There we go, and let's upload. Nick Rich, YouTube eats what? I don't know what that means. But you gotta go finish the dishes, but I'm listening. Okay. Dish away. I deep fried a turkey in a hay barn and got lucky there before knowing about the fires that it could cause. Yeah. I have not attempted the deep fried turkey yet. Don't do a frozen turkey deep fried. It needs to be thawed before you throw it in, and you need to make sure to have the appropriate amount of oil before you dump the turkey in, because if you put too much, then big fire ensues. And unless you want to visit by the fire department, which depends if you enjoy firemen or not, that might determine whether or not you want the firemen to come. But probably easier ways to get a fireman to come to your house than just trying to burn it down with turkey. So let's just start off ahead. We'll now that it's uploaded, we can play this week's Hypocrite of the Week just to get it out of the way.
This week's Hypocrite of the Week is Ben Shapiro, who responded to Representative Ilhan Omar's comment on anti-Semitism in the GOP by calling it supposed anti-Semitism. Supposed anti-Semitism? Shapiro previously called out conservative anti-Semitism when it targeted him, but he turns a blind eye to it in order to attack a Muslim member of Congress. That, my friends, is hypocrisy. To see who next week's Hypocrite of the Week will be, tune in to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central on Liberal Dan Radio on YouTube and blogtalkradio.com/LiberalDan.
Yep, so there you go. Ben Shapiro is my Hypocrite of the Week. Is he an example of a turkey of the year too? I don't know, but he said it out. One of his tweets 2 days ago was, "The quest by the Democrats in leadership and media to link a horrifically evil shooting at a Colorado gay club to anyone who doesn't support a progressive social agenda is ongoing and terrible for the country. It is a cynical game only one side plays, and it's trash." So my response to him was, except the QAnon supporting, LGBTQA hating, pedophile grooming, cannibal conspiracy theorists are literally responsible for creating this atmosphere. As a Jewish person, you should understand how false narratives about a section of society not only breeds hate, but violence. So, I mean, willful ignorance there on the part of Ben Shapiro on that. We need to be pointing out who is the one who is stoking the fear. Who is the one that is pointing out false narratives about LGBTQA folks, calling people pedophiles, calling people groomers, when without calling out the pedophiles and groomers on their own site. Matt Gaetz. Sorry, I had something in my throat. Failing to call that out, being apologists for those. Trump's was best friends with Epstein, but they don't want to talk about that. They don't care about him. They don't care about his misdoing. It's just, trying to falsely label folks like, people in the LGBTQA community and Democrats as a whole by supporting the LGBTQA community, pedophiles and groomers, stuff like that, only works to instill hate, only works to instill fear, only works to promote violence towards LGBTQA folks. It's horrible that anybody can't see that, but it's extra horrible that somebody who is Jewish can't see that. And I'll say that as somebody who is Jewish, that you should not need to be handheld on this one. You should understand what this type of rhetoric, what this type of propaganda does to the populace as a whole to get them to scapegoat our problems on a small group. I mean, come on, Ben. You should know better. You should absolutely know better. Patty Wax says, thanks for the stream. You are very welcome. I'm glad to do it. Tried to do it every Wednesday. Gobble Gobble, Seha. Thank you, Seha, for joining us today. Appreciate you as always. What was the other thing? There was a Louda with Crowda, as I like to say with my Massachusetts accent. Louda with Crowda, even though I'm not from Massachusetts, and I'm sure Demonox would pick on my Massachusetts type accent. Shouts out to Demonox, first Liberal Dan Radio patron. I forget what it was about, but anticipate at some point that there will be I will be doing another, perhaps a reaction video on something that Steven Crowder put up. I know he had some video the other day where he was talking about how it's the Democrats that gerrymander more, and that's just absurd. Yes, Democrats do gerrymander, but the Republicans make the Democrats gerrymander look tame. Let me check my stream quality. Because can you hear me? Can anybody hear me in the chat? Oh, there we go. It's funny that I called out Demonox. I said Demonox would shame me for it, and then there he is. It's like Beetlejuice, except I didn't have to say Demonox 3 times fast, or 3 times at all. So yes, good. Jeff Curry have on clothes now? That's no fun. Naked Liberal Dan Radio. No, we are not going to subject anybody to Naked Liberal Dan Radio. I might do a late night show at some point that's called Sex with Liberal Dan and have sex experts on or whatever and talk about issues dealing with human sexuality and stuff like that. And that's fine, but we're not going to do Naked Liberal Dan. That's not going to be a thing. So anyway, yeah, I'm surprised I actually got a Hypocrite of the Week out this week, simply because of the fact that I think I did it at 7:45 my time. I decided to go and take a nap at 2 because I was very tired, and I didn't wake up till 6. So, Dr. Ruth on Liberal Dan, yes. Believe me, if I could have a Dr. Ruth on, that would be amazing. Nimbus Yosh is somebody who would want to join for that class, for that show. If Nimbus Yosh is on there talking about sex, you might have a lot of other people getting thirsty, so to speak. Dr. Dan. I'm not a doctor, but I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night either. So, one interesting thing that happened was I was very just I didn't know what was going on, in that worlds collided in my online, I guess, atmosphere or whatever, because I had my brain exploded because I saw a Hal video, but the Hal video was on Jeff Crouere. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait, my brain wasn't processing it properly. It couldn't quite, it wasn't just, wait, is this a Jeff Crouere video? What am I seeing? It took me a few seconds to be like, oh my God, Hal Sparks found Jeff Crouere. This is amazing. And I watched the whole, unfortunately I did not get to see it live. I would have loved to have been there to have seen it live, because I would have added so much to that conversation live. Whoo, boy. So, yeah, because if you don't know, a lot of my Hypocrite of the Week, not Hypocrite of the Week, well, some of my Hypocrite, a lot of my words of redneck wisdom come from Jeff Crouere's show. Like, I know Jeff Crouere in person. We've met. When I ran for Congress, he's one of the few people on radio in the New Orleans area that interviewed me. Like, he actually was of the people that were, besides my wife, he was part of the handful of people who was the most helpful. Why was he the most helpful? Well, he didn't like Bobby Jindal. So he was very happy to be helpful towards me. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that he did, considering how much of a MAGA type he is now. But yeah, I literally know him. We haven't hung out outside of political things, but how do you spell Jeff's list? It's Crouere. Crouere, Jeff Crouere. And there was a lot of confusion, I guess, for how to know how it was pronounced, because, I guess French names or whatever from people in New Orleans. And of course, in New Orleans, we don't even pronounce the French things properly. Like there's a street that's Chartres. It should be pronounced Chartres. It's Charters. Burgundy is Burgundy. Other streets mispronounced. Like there's a street that's spelled Calliope, and there's a boat with a calliope on it, and they call it a calliope, but the street's Calliope. It's ridiculous. Patty Whack. My last name is French. Is Whack a French last name? Haha. Anyway, let's listen to. I don't know if I even played last week Words of Redneck Wisdom last week, but let's see if let's play it for a second just to see. Come on, my computer's being stupid. I didn't reboot before the show, so we're getting a little bit of lag. That's probably why I'm having the problems with the delay.
And now, Words of Redneck Wisdom, brought to you by Liberal Dan Radio.
Get to Trump here in a minute. Everybody out there that's concerned needs to start calling their Congress people. And even if you have to call the White House about this border, it's getting worse every day. And it's just the way it is. And now let's see, what did Trump do? He took the air and the eyes off of Georgia. He did not have Herschel Walker there, and he focused on himself. Well, guess what? If the Democrats gain control of the Congress, they're going to sink Donald Trump like the Bismarck. And I'm talking about the Republicans. Because Herschel is in a tight race, and Warnock may win. And he could have waited till after December the 6th to make that announcement, but he didn't. And did he have Herschel there? No. You get my point, don't you?
And this concludes Words of Redneck Wisdom, brought to you by Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
Unfortunately, that is not. Did not have anything with Jeff in it. Let me see. I think this clip, which is a little longer, I think I got the conservatives to fight about whether or not people who are homeless, if they should be able to vote or not. And of course, I said they should. And I got people. Let's see if let's listen to it, and we'll see if Jeff's on this clip. I think he is.
Good morning,
Jeff. I agree with you 99% of the time, but I have to say, the Liberal Dan got you to admit homeless people should vote. I don't know where you're coming from, but that's a Democratic strategy. For one thing, municipalities have no idea how many homeless people there are in the country. So we're going to start letting them vote. Liberal Dan backed you into saying that you, and this is not about you.
I said to him, I don't think homeless people are worried about voting. I mean, they're worried about where they're going to get their next meal. I mean, most of them really have mental illness that they're dealing with.
And you did say they should have the right to vote. Well, if they're not homeless anymore, Liberal Dan, you're a phony, dude. Why don't you take some homeless people in and rehabilitate them? You're such a good liberal. Why don't you take them in, feed them?
All right, let me ask you this, Bernard. Let's say a person living in a house in New Orleans can't keep up with this Biden administration, is forced out of their house, can't pay the rent anymore, has to go out on the street. But that person has been voting for years. So just because that person has been forced out on the street, even though that person has been voting for years because he can't keep up with the expenses in a Biden economy, can't keep up with all the inflation, has to go out on the street because it's that bad. And there are a lot of Americans that are doing that because they can't pay the bills and people are living paycheck to paycheck. Should that person lose his right to vote?
Yes. You're taking the liberal point of view once again. Somebody has to pull themselves up.
The person should lose their right to vote because they can't pay the bills?
Yes, they should, Jeff. You're
Okay.
taking the liberal point of view, my man.
The liberal point of view.
That's
No, I'm
not a
pointing
liberal
out that
point of
people
view.
are
That's a human
losing their
rights
homestead because of the Biden economy. Let me
I
get
don't-
Michelle
I
in
don't
on
care
this.
If they
We'll-
lose it because they go crazy.
Okay. All right.
Just let me finish.
Let me.
That's,
I will come back to you. I'm going to come back to you. I want to get
Okay.
Michelle in, and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, Bernard, but it's also called a human rights issue. They're not criminals. I mean, some of them are, but you're talking about, so you're basically going to say then our veterans that happen to be homeless, you should take away their right to vote when they actually fought for this country?
Yeah.
That would
We're
be
not
horrible.
taking away their right
Hell
to
no.
vote.
We should never take their right to away, their right to vote away.
I'm sorry?
We should never take the right of our veterans, the right to
I'm
vote
not
away.
saying
They
take it
sacrificed
away,
everything
but
for our
that particular
country.
election where they don't have a domicile, they should not be able to vote. It's too easy to cheat now, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just another ploy for them to find another way that they can cheat. All this, oh, I feel so sorry. Liberal Dan, take a homeless person in, you hypocrite.
Well,
Apparently, I'm Bernard's hypocrite of the week. But that happened a few weeks ago, maybe, or a couple months ago. I don't know. And of course, I'm the one who says, to start off the conversation, if you're a homeless person, you should be able to vote. They brought up, homeless vets, which is a big problem. I mean, we have enough available housing in this country to house every single homeless person who wants a home. So that's an issue that should be dealt with. However, what sparked this whole conversation was Jeff is taking part in some movement that I think is also going on in Colorado, and I think is also going on in several other states where conservative activists are going and getting printouts of the voter rolls and looking at the people who are in houses and looking at places that have maybe larger number of people voting in a house than one might think or whatever. And then they're going to interview the people in those houses to see who if the people living there are legitimate or not. They're not doing this under any sort of permission from the government. I mean, I guess they don't need permission to do so, but they're kind of making themselves seem like they're quasi, like they're doing it for the government, even though they're not really doing it for the government. And they're trying to do it to try and say, well, make a case that, these are people who are on the voter rolls who shouldn't be there because their address is incorrect. And for example, one of the things that this group found was that there were 6 or 7 people using a post office box at a UPS store, like a mailbox at a UPS store as their mailing address. And I called in and I was like, well, what happens if, somebody is a traveling nurse, for example? They're a traveling nurse. They don't need to upkeep an actual residence for the time that they're traveling across the country, but they still want to kind of maintain their residency in Louisiana for whatever reason. And so in order to have a mailing address, they set up a post office box. It doesn't mean that they lose their right to vote because they don't have an official dwelling here in the state. It just means that they want to be able to, save money while they're out traveling the country doing their travel nursing. And then I also brought up homeless folks and said, look, if you're a homeless person, you don't have a house. Maybe you're using the last place that you lived as your residence at the moment simply because you don't have another place to use. There are other places, other organizations, I think in other states, maybe it happened in Louisiana, I don't know, I think I heard it on his show, maybe, that there are people who are a homeless shelter that was basically the dwelling, the listed address on the voting record for those particular people, and they're trying to say that this is an example of like voter fraud because this is not a dwelling, this is a homeless shelter. I'm like, well, this is where they're staying, so why not use the place where they're currently staying as the place of residence? And Jeff likes to say, well, they're not worried about voting. Well, I probably would still try and go vote if somebody who happened to lose my house, if I could. And I shouldn't lose that right to vote simply because that. Now, I mean, and look, to Jeff Carrera's credit, he took my side on it mostly. I mean, he did try and blame it on Biden, and of course he tried to spin it in the ways that he tried to spin it. But And then this guy, one of his callers, some of his callers are more extreme than him, and he's very extreme. He's a very MAGA type. I think the video that Hal talked about was the video where he was basically saying that Donald Trump should be the de facto nominee or something. Donald Trump should be considered the favorite, etc., etc., etc. So he's a very MAGA type person. And one of the people commenting on Jeff's video was like, when I said, I know Jeff Carrera in person, and he was like, of course you do. I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? That I know him in person? What does that mean? Are you doubting that I know him in person, or are you saying something negative about me because I happen to know this individual, even though I disagree with him on politically about 99.7% of the time? So yeah, it's silliness, but just the simple fact that Hal was talking about it and bringing up Jeff Carrera, I'm like, dude, I've been using Jeff Carrera on my show for years. I mean, again, he is his callers are often my words of redneck wisdom. Sometimes I'll get Hypocrite of the Week from there as well. When I talked about Cash Money, the caller Cash Money, who, let's see, where's that clip?
We don't care about evidence.
For Cash Money, the caller saying, we don't care about evidence. Of course, Demonox believes that Cash Money doesn't really live up north, that he's just somebody who works at the station who's trying to just add shock value, which is probably it's potentially is a good point. Back into the chat, Megan, what does the House have to do with voting? Nothing. It should have nothing to do with voting whatsoever. We everybody should have a house. Everybody should be fed. There are certain things that should be rights, but again, these conservatives don't care. Conservatism requires less voting. To where if you listen to my GOP coup series or watch my GOP coup series that I've made here on YouTube, you'll see that one of the things that I've said is that conservatives, Republicans want the electorate to be as white and as old as possible, and they want it does not benefit Republicans when more people come out to vote. More people vote usually means more Democrats win. It's as simple as that. More people vote, more Democrats win. I mean, the Democrats were supposed to do horribly in this past midterm election, and they did relatively well comparatively to what they should have done and to what many parties in power have done in the first term of a presidency, i.e. lose crap ton of seats. So, I mean, and then there are many other things that, Jeff Carrera has this thing like the Voter Information Project or whatever, where they were trying to recall a Republican who 2 years ago voted to not overturn the veto of Governor Edwards, who vetoed a trans athletic bill. This year he actually did vote to override the veto, unfortunately. But their next project is trying to delegitimize votes from New Orleans and try and make it so that try and say that the Secretary of State should purge the voter rolls in New Orleans and not anywhere else. I mean, they're using some other places as proof, but their goal is to delegitimize votes coming from New Orleans in and of itself, because New Orleans is a great big blue bastion in a vile sea of red. Let's see, Paddywhack. The homeless shelter I volunteered at briefly had to help a lot of the clients get their IDs, and that's good for that they do that, and they should have their IDs. Everybody should have their ID. Megan Herrick, yeah, of course they want to raise the voting age to 21. Of course, because 18 to 20 year olds came out heavily towards Democrats because they don't like the social issues, the social agenda of the Republican Party, and that's the answer for Republicans on everything. Whenever they lose an election, or whenever they think they should have done better in an election, their solution is not to change their policies. They can't possibly fathom the idea that maybe the reason that they're losing is because the policies that they want to support are unpopular. They can't fathom that idea. They can't admit that they're wrong. But what they do is they put doubt on elections, like trying to claim election fraud, for example, or they try and do things like minimize who can vote, reducing the vote, making sure less people are able to, either by making it uncomfortable to vote, by making it so that you can't get like a bottle of water in line at a Georgia voting polling station. Then also, unrelated on the bill, because this part isn't in the bill, but it just adds to the problems, is that then they pack in more black voters into voting precincts than white voters in the white voting precincts, so therefore there's more likely to be longer lines, so you're more likely to be more uncomfortable and more likely to be thirsty and want a bottle of water, and then, well, you can't get it. If you live in a lily white neighborhood with a very small population, you probably don't have to wait in line to vote, because your precinct is not that densely populated as the ones in the urban areas. So let's see. Hey Ken, thank you for joining. Just saw you, appreciate it. Hey, Dark Webster, IUS. Type in liberal and you are selection number 2. That's awesome. Why am I not number 1? I don't know. Maybe who was number 1? I guess we should worry about that. And maybe I'll try and figure out how to fix that. Probably some SEO stuff that I need to figure out. Patty Whack, that's why they want people to have IDs to vote, or at least part of the reason. Well, I've talked about voter ID on the show before, Patty, and the thing is that a lot of the reason that they passed these voter ID laws is not because of voter ID. It's because of the other things that they shove into those bills that have nothing to do with the requirement to show an ID to vote. In reality, I mean, Louisiana has a voter ID rule now, but you can also get a free ID in Louisiana if you can't afford one, because you shouldn't have a poll tax, and I'm fine with that. I'm not angry with the idea that people should be able to prove who they are when they cast a ballot. Although there's many things, if we had a clean voter ID bill with nothing else in it, it probably would get support, as long as it was reasonable to get the ID. Like things in North Carolina made it unreasonable to get the ID and eliminated the IDs that you can use. For example, like you couldn't use a college ID, you couldn't use certain other IDs that were government-issued photo IDs. Even though the Supreme Court has ruled that if you're attending college, you should be able to vote in the district that you are attending college in because you're living there. But there's other things like, again, the no bottles of water, the reduction of ways to vote. For example, in North Carolina, the Republican-controlled legislature investigated all of the different ways that people vote and then eliminated the ones that were utilized mostly by black people. And that's why one of the reasons why it was tossed was because they were able to show the clear racist intent of the law. And of course, the Republicans will be like, well, what's wrong with showing an ID? Despite the fact that my criticism of these laws have nothing to do with the requirement to show an ID. It's those other things. So Jeff Curry, that's BS. Who's not all homeless are by choice. My daughter seeks this one out because he has a cool dog. She buys food for them. I mean, there are some people that are homeless by choice. They want to live off the grid or whatever, but most people are homeless because of their situation, or whatever their situation is. But because of their situation, that shouldn't lose their ability to cast a ballot. They should maintain their right to vote, regardless of where you live. But again, if conservatives believe that the more property you own, you should have more of a vote. Like there are people complaining about in Washington State. Well, look, the majority of the land of Washington State is controlled by red. Why should the people in blue get to control our state? Well, because the people in blue are in the densely packed area, because y'all don't understand population ratios, just like they don't understand the science behind, why masking would help to prevent spread of a disease. It's all a rejection of science. It's all just them rejecting science, rejecting math, rejecting common sense, rejecting reason. Let's see. Zamenhof in Massachusetts. I'm not sure about other states, but you can use the local homeless shelter as your legal place of residence for voting purposes and job applications. And that's Massachusetts. Sure. And that's great. I'm sure there are other conservative places that would fight that, and these conservatives clearly, at least the one that was calling in, clearly doesn't believe that you should be able to do that. If you should have to have a place that you live in order to cast a ballot, and apparently that's the liberal point of view. And look, to Jeff's credit, even though he argued it very badly because he was arguing other things and because of the Biden economy, whatever. to Jeff's credit, he did take the right side on that particular issue, even though he was on the wrong side of so many others. Let's say we had a guy in a grotto at our church. He would dump the garbage bins and crawl into them. I mean, if it protects you from the elements, sure. MJ Daniel, hi everybody. Hope you have a good Thanksgiving. We're having a small one. My mother, brother, and girlfriend. We're just fixing a turkey, breast, and thighs. It's the brine right now. Nice. Yeah, our turkey is, again, so injected with bourbon, soaking in bourbon, and it's like wrapped in cheesecloth so that the bourbon just stays in there, and there's a whole bunch of soaked bourbon in the cheesecloth shoved into the turkey as well. Our turkeys are so good. I'm gonna eat so well. Let's see. Boo. Hey, Leanna, how's it going? Thank you for joining us. I just scrolled past a lot of chat. My mouse is being stupid. I'm probably having some memory issues, and that's why not memory issues like my personal memory, but memory issues on my laptop, and that's why I'm not getting as some. Well, it's probably why I'm buffering some. It's because of that. Let's see. Boo. There we go. Now it's working fine. Jeff Curry, the dude's last name sounds too much like mine when spoken. Nice. Place of residence does not always mean a house or apartment. It's where you live. Exactly. Less than 6 degrees of separation. You know both. Yep, exactly. I guess Hal Sparks would be interested to know that he's 2 degrees away from Jeff Carrera because of me. Let's see. So yeah, hello, Leanna Gar again. Boo. To be a guest on the show, but I did not hold that against him when because he was a busy man. Unfortunately, he could not force a runoff. Unfortunately, John Kennedy was far too popular to be defeated because, again, it's a very red state. We also didn't have a lot of turnout amongst, I guess, the voters that might be more likely to vote for him, which is unfortunate, but I'll continue to support him in his candidacy because we need more politicians like him, more politicians that speak truth to power. If you haven't seen the video of him berating the people in the school board in Baton Rouge over the school that was supposed to be, I think, a new school that was supposed to be newly named after Robert E. Lee, and one of the people on the school board was sitting there like shopping on Amazon instead of listening to his arguments. That's classic. He's just somebody who we need in government, and unfortunately he can't get elected. Whatever. Eventually, one time. I've seen families have to put their stuff to the curb because they couldn't pay their bills. It's tragic. Absolutely. There should be some sort of solution to help with that. Nobody should be forced to be on the street. Of course. Any solution to that would probably be labeled as socialism, which, of course, everything is socialism. Jeff Curry, I'm looking forward to playing Cards Against Humanity after dinner. My son had asked if we wanted to play Cards Against Humanity after dinner, after Thanksgiving. But it's the kids version that we would play with them, not the adults version. I have like a gigantic box like this big full of Cards Against Humanity cards. I actually introduced that game to my family, and it was very interesting seeing my 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old cousins and uncles and aunts reading some of those cards. Very humorous. Let's see. Dude's beard should never meet. Oh, well, I know plenty of dudes that would disagree with that statement, Wes. I heard something on a morning show I watched this morning. Instead of mass shootings, we should have mass spoonings. I fully support mass spoonings. Absolutely. Wait, Wes, were we on that again? House Sparks made the show. Made what show? I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I'm all for mass spoonings, cuddle puddles, if you will. Let's everybody hug instead of everybody getting shot. apparently there's something. Some people were trying to say that the shooter in Colorado was non-binary, using they them, but I think some other people are saying that that's not the case, and that's just a thing that was brought up by the attorney to try and muddy the water. Let's see. The Wikipedia article does not list the names of the victims. I was going to try and do that. So Raymond Green Vance, Kelly Loving, Daniel Aston, Derek Rump, and Ashley Pa have all lost their lives because they were at Club Q and a deranged lunatic decided that he was going to come in and shoot the place up. And of course, because he was white, he was taken into custody without being killed. Although the opportunity to off him was given by was also the father of one of the father of a girlfriend of one of the victims, was one of the heroes that saved the day to preventing more loss of life. But he was somebody who was military, and if you saw his interview, he basically said that it was his military training that showed him, that taught him to instinctively run towards the issue to try and deal with the situation. But it was probably also his military training that showed him that to stop attacking once the person was subdued. A criticism that I've often seen by folks who have served in the military against the police officers who end up using deadly force to take out suspected criminals, especially suspected criminals who happen to be black, in that they don't properly use force escalation techniques. They're not properly trained in force escalation techniques. And in the military, I guess you learn that perhaps much better. Not saying that all the military, this issue won't happen in the military, and there are people in the military who are not bad actors, but some military folks have been absolutely clear that the police inability to properly use the force escalation measures leads to deaths that shouldn't be happening. Oh, I'm only here because of Hal Sparks. I'll let you know that. That's fine. I mean, I'm glad everybody who continues to watch the show who initially came over here because they saw Hal on my show. So I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody who hangs around still after the fact. I'm looking forward to the next time we get Hal on. Again, holiday season, making things very, very, I guess, difficult time-wise. I don't know, was Hal on tonight? I tried to see, but it didn't look like he was on tonight. Probably doing family stuff or traveling stuff or what have you. Kimchi, yes, military folks have more training because if they accidentally kill an innocent, it could cause an international incident. Pretty much. One of the reasons. Padawacky had the dude's gun. He could have shot him. He just whooped his ass. Yeah, and again, and I'm sure he probably would not have been tried and convicted or whatever if he would have. Well, maybe he would have. I don't know. But he did the right thing. He used just enough force that would be required to prevent the person from committing any more crimes. Simple as that. It's good. He's a hero, and he should be lauded as such. But again, you had there's the shooting at Walmart today as well. You have all these shootings going on in this country, and we don't want to. Of course, we're always going to hear from conservatives. Now's not the time to talk about gun control. Now's not the time. Well, when's the time then? If not now, when? Well, okay, let's not talk about gun control for the Club Q, but let's talk about the gun control for the shootings that happened 4, 5, 6 months ago, a year ago. Look, again, I'm not opposed to the Second Amendment. I'm not opposed to people legally and lawfully having guns. I'm not opposed to that at all. I'm opposed to loopholes. I'm opposed to not requiring background checks for the private transfer of guns. I mean, even if it's a gift, I think you should have to if I'm going to give you a gift of a gun, you should have to pass a background check in order for you to be able to get that weapon. There should be a paper trail. Gun A goes to gun B, gun A goes to person C, gun A goes to person D. As this gun goes from person to person, there should be a paper trail to show who sold it, who bought it, was there a background check done, and also making sure that if people are responsible in like reporting their stolen guns if they get stolen, if they want to claim that, so they can't just say, oh well, I lost my gun but I really gave it away to somebody else in some sort of straw sale or something like that. Now, does this stop all people from illegally getting guns? No, but it makes it harder for people to illegally get guns again. But this falls under the whole general idea that conservatives have, or problem that conservatives have, with the idea of ratios, with the idea of math, with the idea of they sit there, we're freaking buffering again. Okay, with the idea, this is the problem that conservatives have with the idea of they don't understand rates. They don't understand how something can be beneficial even if it's not perfect. They think, oh, well, if you can get COVID, why take the vaccine? Because you can get COVID, even though the vaccine makes you less likely to get it, less likely to transmit it, less likely to be sick with it for longer, less likely to have to go to the hospital, and less likely to die. But to them, because you can get it, it's automatically fair. To them, life is binary, ones and zeros, on or off, yes or no. That's why they don't understand the idea of the antiquated gender binary is wrong as well, because they can't grasp the idea that people are a collection of many different things, collection of hormones, collection of chromosomes that don't just set you into one or the other. In reality, there's infinite number of genders because there's infinite amount of combinations of hormones and whatever. But they don't understand how, if you do this, then people are going to still, if you do this, then people are still going to be able to get illegal guns. Well, it'll make it harder for them to do so, so therefore you'll be less likely to see as many shootings as you are. I don't know why our school system fails them so badly, but they just can't get these very simple concepts, and it's disturbing because it literally harms people. This literally harms people. It causes people to not be as safe as they could be because they buy into these false narratives and they don't understand how the world works. Let's see. Boom. Kimchi, I refuse to use a weed whacker because of fear of hurting myself. No way I can handle a gun. I'm actually a fairly good shot with a gun. I've only shot one a couple of times, but when I have, I was fairly damned accurate with it, which is terrified my mom, I guess. She was like, "How are you so good at shooting when I've like forbidden you from having even toy guns?" So let's see. Not our fat conservatives have small brains, can't hold complex ideas. Exactly the people who shouldn't have guns or hold office, or not the fault. Not our fault. I was like, not our fat. I'm like, what? Not our fat? What are you talking about? But not our fault. Conservatives have small brains, can't hold complex ideas. Exactly. I'm sure there are some conservatives, politicians that will use this. I mean, look at Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake used to support Obama. Carrie Lake used to support all sorts of, liberal things, but she realized that she could get popular in politics because she could take advantage of the poorly educated that Donald Trump loves. So therefore, she decided to run for office as running under the conservative ideas just because she wanted power more than she wanted to be a nice person, so to speak. See, Jeff Curry took my mom and my aunt to get mammograms today. I went to walk around the hospital. Damn sidewalk ran out halfway around. Nice. See, Kimchi, I'm a good shot with a gun and a bow, but only on a range. I won't have one in my house. Pretty much. I mean, I don't want to have one in my house because I don't want one of my kids picking up and doing something that, would be terrifying. That's one of the reasons I don't have it in my house. Let's see. Boo. Patty Whack, I'm pro weed smoker. Well, I mean, Liberal Dan Radio is a legalize it. We're pro legalizing it. I grew up in a rural area, hunting and fishing, got my first gun on my 10th birthday in 1972. Our guns were always locked away and never touched until it's being used. That's smart. Fortunately, you have people like the Boberts who, put guns in everybody's hand. Be like, hey, somebody said, that's the groomers. Those are the groomers, the people who are raising kids to shoot everybody. Guns don't make you courageous. Character does, absolutely. Jeff can hit a nickel with a crossbow at 50 yards. That's awesome. I've never fired a crossbow yet. I've only fired a bow and arrow. Demonox, last week I got COVID because my roommate works with an anti-vaxxer who said COVID isn't real. Of course. I mean, I knew that. I think I even talked about that last week. So, anyway, does anybody have any other recommendations for the turkey of the year for 2022? We've discussed some. You know, Elon Musk, Ben Shapiro, Donald Trump should be one of them because of his utter failures when it came to endorsing people who in races that I guess mattered. Conservatives are going to say, "Oh, Donald Trump got like 78% of the people that he endorsed won." Well, sure, because you know a lot of the people that he endorsed were in safe Republican seats that were never going to go blue ever because of gerrymandering. So yes, Donald Trump was able to pick those ones correctly and endorse those people correctly. Shocker. Like, it'd be like, oh, I'm such a good sports prognosticator because I picked the Harlem Globetrotters to beat the Washington Generals. Like, come on. Like, that's a no-brainer. It doesn't mean that I'm a smart sports analyst. You know, in the races that mattered, in the races where, you know, there were competitive races, Donald Trump's endorsement harmed those people. And it's very possible that Donald Trump's endorsement harmed those other candidates as well, except for the fact that they were already at such an insane lead because of the gerrymandering of the district that there was no way that they were going to lose anyway. Now, I mean, it doesn't matter because he still won, but, you know, wait, where is it? I scrolled down too far, so I missed my thing. There you go.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Jeff Curry, Dan, how's the dog? The dog is doing all right. She has, in the last week, has only had 2 inside the house accidents, and I would have to say that both of them are human error. They were not the fault of the dog. One this morning because I was asleep and the kids didn't let her out when they heard her at the door, or didn't put her in her cage when they had to leave the room. And the other was my fault because I had to go to the bathroom and I saw that she had to go out, and again, I should have let her out first and just tried to hold it in, but I thought she could wait and I was wrong. So I saw the puddle and I was like, oh well, my fault, not hers. So the one thing we need to work on with the puppy is we do need to work on the coming on command all the time. Like that's one thing we need to work on. That and the nippiness, because she's still a nippy puppy, and I need to follow the instructions on how to best train a nippy dog. Basically rewarding her with treats when she does do the right thing, and then not rewarding her with treats when she doesn't do the right thing, and waiting to basically give her the treats when she's calm, so she's calm and she's not getting rewarded for not being calm. I've watched a couple of videos on that, and we've had some past training before with her previous dogs, but she's doing really well. I mean, she sits and gives 5 on command already, which I'm very impressed at. She finds every single damn hole in a fence. It's so frustrating. Like, there's a picture that I posted on Facebook earlier today, my personal one, that basically was like, she got into the yard and my neighbors have chickens. So, which is not fine because, it's great. We hardly ever hear them, and sometimes we'll get free eggs from time to time, which is cool. But there's this picture where let me just pull it up. I can pull it up and show it, I suppose. Reload. Go to my profile. Come on. Is this going to cause me to have problems streaming again? It's going to cause me to buffer. I hope not. There it is. Let's put this over here. And what's the window setting? That's the wrong one. Display, is it 2? Yep, display 2. There it is. Okay. Let's max the window and make make it visible. There you go. There's Blanche staring at the chickens in the neighbor's yard because she found a hole in the fence and was able to get through and look at it. And then when she got closer, a little later on, the chickens all went and hid in the back of the pen, but they're just staring at each other like, I don't know about you. I keep trying to tell them that the chickens are going to eat her because she's small and there's more of them than her. But she doesn't seem to want to believe us that the chickens are not going to eat her, which is, funny. But anyway, it is what it is. Oh, wait, sorry. Stole Donald Trump's line again. Come on.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Again, my computer's being extra crappy tonight. Liberty Milo chewed up my phone last week. She's tried to get after my phone every once in a while, which is good to have an eye on it. She did run off with my older son's phone. Like, I don't know if she was trying to bring it to him because he left the room and all of a sudden she grabbed the phone and ran after him. I don't know if she was trying to be a helpful pup or she just was being, a pain. But now she's finally gotten strong enough with her back legs where she can get on the couch, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing or not. Let's see. Our neighbors have a new Brittany Spaniel puppy and we live on the golf course. She got out, was chasing a squirrel, and then was distracted by a golfer's ball. Great toy and kept playing keep away. It was fun. Hilarious. Must have missed it while putzing around the house. That is not, unfortunately, that's not my backyard. That is my neighbor's backyard. Hey, Andrea, how's it going? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, that's the neighbor's backyard. Our backyard is more full because it has a pool in the back, and I need to figure out what's wrong with the pool because there was some moisture by the outside of the pool, and we seem to be losing water, but now we're not. I don't know. I have to figure it all out. Let's see. Oh, Nick Rich is taking off. Later on, Nick. Later on. See you later, Nick. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with your family if you're able to. Kimchi, the first time I came here, you went for 3 hours. Last time it was 1 hour. Anyway, you can add another hour on a different day. I'm thinking about it. I mean, if you want another hour of me, there are other hours where you can see me. I'm on Twitch. I'm sure Aaron or Jolie will share the Twitch link. Because I'd have to go type it or whatever, type it properly. I am on Twitch, and when we're on Twitch, we do chat about things, including politics. It's just nerdydan.com on Twitch instead of Liberal Dan Radio on Twitch. Although I do have a Liberal Dan Radio account on Twitch, but I haven't started that yet. When it comes to more days of the podcast, I think I would probably consider doing additional days when I start getting more patron support. So if right now I love my patrons so far, but it doesn't necessarily justify me going beyond an additional day. And the only reason I haven't done 3-hour shows recently is because I don't want to stay up here too long, because I don't want to leave her in the cage too long without getting to go out one more time before going to sleep. So that's why you'll see me leaving recently these past few weeks earlier than I might normally have. Although the show's typically only scheduled for an hour. Technically, I only say that I'm going to be from 8 to 9, although I do put an extra half hour for buffer to make sure that we can talk overtime if I want to. Yeah, the extra days right now is being spent on Twitch. Now, if the podcast became more popular and I had to do and if the podcast had more patrons or whatever, I probably would do a podcast then Twitch. But at the moment, I could only justify doing one night a week. So that's where I'm at with it. I mean, maybe I don't know if there's a whole "if you build it, they will come" thing. You know, if I did more days a week of the podcast, I would be able to. Get more people to watch and do more supply side maybe type arguments. give them more show, more people watch, or more people come in and more people support. I don't know if that would happen or not. But I have done other one-offs sometimes. Like if I find a video that I want to do a live reaction to, I'll do that like on a Thursday or a Friday or something. So there is that, but that hasn't happened much. I am trying to work on some video ideas so that I can have other videos that can be watched, just not live. So we'll see about working on that as well. So let's see. My girl's 1-year-old Pity is not only big, she's the voice of big, still a puppy. See, Elizabeth, hey, Jolie, got to go cook, so gonna go. Thank you for joining us, Elizabeth. Appreciate you. And make some good turkey. Oh, we have a Rose. Hello, are you gonna join us, Rose? Are you going to join? Are you going? Nope, you're going to run away. Rose, run away. Come on, Rose. Come here. Come see. Show everybody your cuteness, Rose. Show everybody your cuteness. There is Rose. Oh, you're purring? Look at you purring. And you're letting me hold you? This is really weird. This never happens. Oh, no, there you go. I'm out. So, yeah, Rose does not like to be held. By me, at least. She'll let the kids hold her. She'll snuggle up next to Cassie. But it's very rare that she'll snuggle up next to me. But apparently today, she gave me at least 5 seconds of cuddle before she decided to be like, nope, F this crap, I'm out. Jeff Curry, yes, I did. It's a furry one, too. Thank you again for joining us, Leanna. I hope to see you next week or whatever. Or on Twitch streams as well. Let's see. Nice. What else? Jolie, OMG, probably at Jeff's comment. I appreciate Jeff's comment. What was it? Hal was talking about one time the pumpkin cream pies or something or whatever, and I made some comment and he was like, "Whoa, hold on, Dan. I got a little blue in Hal's chat." So so it is. No, wait, that's Donald.
It is what it is.
Thank you. Even if he went away to jail or somehow went away permanently, I probably would still want to use the "it is what it is" because, it's fun. It's fun to use. So, boom, boom, boom. Any other comments about Turkey of the Year? Anybody, any suggestions of people that you think would be a good Turkey of the Year? What about the internationally speaking? What about the Prime Minister? What's her face? Elizabeth Truss stepped down after 6 weeks. As some people said, lettuce has lasted longer than she did. She would probably qualify for a Turkey of the Year because she didn't do very well at maintaining her position. So that would probably be a good example of Turkey of the Year. I submitted a wrestling Turkey of the Year. That's linked to on my nerdydan.com Twitter account. Simply because my cousin Bill asked me to submit one of my opinions on there because I like to think outside the box or think outside the ring, if you will. Ginny Thomas, that is a good one. Ginny Thomas should absolutely be one of the turkeys of the decade, even maybe. Even Clarence Thomas should go. Maybe just the Thomas clan. Ginny and Clarence Thomas both turkeys of the year. But unlike the ones that Biden dealt with, those two should not be pardoned from their bad acting. Alito may very well be a turkey of the year, I would say, because Sam Alito, it looks like it could have very well been because of Sam Alito or maybe his wife that these people got these rulings leaked, and there was a conservative person who basically said that he got access to the Hobby Lobby ruling because of the access that some people have to the Alito family, because there are people who will do things like they fund the Supreme Court Preservation Society, or some Supreme Court, some organization meant to I guess keep historical things about the Supreme Court. Anyway, so these people paid a lot of money, and by doing so, they've got access to the Supreme Court members, to the justices, and as such, they got to go eat dinner with these people, and the Alitos had these rich, wealthy folks over for dinner, and lo and behold, then the information gets leaked. How did that happen? I don't know. Of course, Alito denies everything, as he would, but even without that potential scandal, with him being the source of the leak of where the money is coming from, or not where the leaks are coming from, when it comes to his Supreme Court rulings, because he also wrote the majority ruling in Hobby Lobby. I'm wondering if he wrote the majority. I'm wondering if he leaked Lilly Ledbetter versus Goodyear Tire, and if he leaked the other one, Salinas v. Texas. Now, if you remember when I was doing a review of the rest of the ruling, we did a response show on the leaked document, and then we did a response show on the rest of the document. And when I did that second one, I was like, I said I would not be surprised that Alito wrote Lilly Ledbetter versus Goodyear Tire, and if he wrote Salinas v. Texas. And it turned out that, lo and behold, he wrote both of them. I should have included Hobby Lobby on that list, because Hobby Lobby is another terrible ruling that basically says that do not eat that. No. Okay. Anyway, so trying to get some food that she shouldn't be getting. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. Hobby Lobby basically allowed a company to say a belief as fact. Hobby Lobby believes that birth control pills cause abortions, and as such, they shouldn't be able to do it. Well, no. Birth control pills, they should have to prove that birth control pills cause abortions in order to say that this is a reason, in order for it to be, I guess, a reasonably held belief. We've talked about that on the show before. Of course, they shouldn't get to stop anybody from getting birth control pills as part of a benefit anyway, because we should always consider any earned benefit that's gotten from employment should always be considered paid for by the labor of the person receiving the benefit, and not the person. It doesn't matter that it's not a line item on your check. As long as you're getting it because as a benefit of your labor, nobody should get to say what you should get from that benefit, including birth control pills. So I have a big problem with that whatsoever. Yes, dark money also is responsible for a lot of that stuff. Yeah, Hobby Lobby, F Science, we decide what birth control does. Yeah, they're completely wrong. It used to be the idea that birth control pills would stop ovulation, fertilization, or implantation, but later research has shown that there's no evidence that implantation is prohibited with birth control pills. That it only works to stop fertilization or ovulation. Julie here, the first Liberal Dan Radio patron. Shouts out to Julie. Thank you so much. Shouts out to all of the patrons, including the Mod Squad, Jolie, Aaron, Cesar out in California, Demonox, the first Liberal Dan Radio patron, your boy Chris, Wes. I think I got everybody. So, see, I haven't checked to see if anybody new popped in recently. So, let's see. Boom. Patrons. We're getting this to load and see. Apparently Hal's adding some stuff to his patron page, so I'll have to see when that happens. Yeah, I think I got everybody. Interesting in offering a free trial? Sure, I'll join the waitlist for a free trial. Close. I don't know. I'll have to be better on my finishing Hypocrite of the Week early in order for that benefit to be included. Wonder if I give a free trial and it gives access to the if it gives access to the Discord, if the free trial runs out, if they maintain access to the Discord or not. That would be interesting to test out. But we won't know that yet because well, we don't have free trials yet on Patreon. So Jeff Curry, I have never watched what I eat. I watch what I eat going into my mouth. Do. Dark Webster, if I give you 14K, I want you to give 10K to my 10 to my pack. Although that's, I guess, saying if I give you money, then you have to donate it. That might violate election laws. I don't know. We'll have to see. You have to see about that. Kick him in the nuts. Hey, Gibson Media, thank you for joining. Appreciate you. We're almost done, I think, for the day, though. I don't think, unless anybody else has another turkey of the year to recommend. Let's see. I think I don't know. I thought I was searching that and I got something. See what other people might say are the turkeys of the year. Well, I searched turkey of the year and I just get the nation of Turkey and then a bunch of recipes for turkey. So that's not coming up anything good. I still wish we would get a call back from the individual who said that whatchamacallit, that we would be getting 40 seats in the House and that the Republicans would take the Senate and with 454. That was the prediction that failed. I didn't believe that the prediction would be true, but we would see. And I would say, well, I was wrong if it happened, but it didn't, so I wasn't wrong. Haha. It's always nice when that happens. Yeah, Megan, I did say Putin earlier as my first suggestion for Turkey of the Year, because not only because he commits acts of genocide, but because he also is losing the war that he probably shouldn't be losing, even with the technical help or the help of the not infrastructure. That's not the word I'm looking for. The equipment help that he's been getting from the West. See, Patty Bag, I'm applying for a job at a local independent newspaper. Congratulations. I hope you get it. Good luck. Let's see. Oh, is Gibson Media saying Joe Biden? Oh, I expect it. I know that you're conservative, Gibson Media, so I expected you to bring a Joe Biden. I don't know how he would be a Turkey of the Year. He managed to help Democrats stave off the red wave. I think Joe Biden was an integral part of the blue levy that helped hold back the red wave. Yeah, I mean, sure, Biden has served in political office for a very long time. That's what happens when we have a political system like we do. So a lot of other people have served in politics a lot of times. Then you have people who run for office, like was it Ron Johnson in Wisconsin? He said, I'm only going to serve 2 terms. And then what did he do? He's now serving a third. He's now got reelected barely for a third term. Like, again, maybe he should have been a hypocrite of the week, one of the weeks. Because, again, he said he was only going to serve 2 terms. And then I changed my mind. Sorry. Now, and usually I'm not critical too much of politicians when they make promises as part of their campaign platforms, because when somebody runs for office, like for Congress or for the Senate or even for president, the things that they run on are things that they want to have happen, but they can't get it to happen unless everybody else, enough people join along with them to make it happen. You can advocate for those things, but it doesn't necessarily, and if you don't advocate for those things, then that's one thing. But if you don't get it done because you didn't get the help of other people, maybe that's a comment about your ineffectualness as a person, but it doesn't mean you lied as a politician as long as you tried to get it done. That being said, the things like that, where I'm only going to serve 2 terms, but now you're on your 3rd term, that was something that absolutely could have been, a promise that was maintained and upheld by him. He just chose to not listen to it, chose to not do it. So therefore, guess what? He is now a hypocrite. Do. Gibson Media, he should not be elected. You lie, you're out. We would have no elected officials at that point. I mean, we'd have to have some elected officials. Of course, what the word lie often is misused. But, I mean, Trump lied all the time. Trump lied when he said he downplayed the virus, when he told Woodward that he downplayed the virus. You know, he was telling the American public one thing, but he told Woodward something completely different, which I don't know why you would tell a reporter something on the record that is different than what you said to the public, especially if you're being recorded for the whole thing. That just goes to show how dumb Trump is when it comes to certain things. He just thinks that he can get away with anything he wants because he thinks his orange comes with a non-stick coating. But, let's see, Joe Biden could sleep for the next 7 years and I would still support him. Okay, good enough. I would like to know what you believe Biden actually lied about when it comes to why he should not be back in office. That should be interesting. Now, of course, other people lie too is an excuse to lie yourself. However, if you're gonna criticize a politician for lying and say they shouldn't be reelected, but then vote for another politician that lies, then that makes you a hypocrite, because you shouldn't be voting for people. You know, now that's not to say that you can vote for two people based off of an action that's the same. For example, David Vitter, former Louisiana senator, failed attempt to run for governor. He himself said that if you cheat on your spouse, you should no longer serve in office. You shouldn't be able to hold public office if you cheat on your spouse. He called on Bob Livingston, the former person who formerly had his job, to resign. He called on Bill Clinton to resign for his affairs, but he did not resign himself when it was revealed that he had affairs, because, of course, the Republicans are the loudest about the things that they're doing themselves. Now, do I hold his cheating against him? No. What I hold against him is his refusal and inability to keep himself to his own standards. He said that people who resign or should resign if they're caught cheating, and did not resign. So do I think that everybody who cheats on their spouse should resign? No. If they're not making it a part of their public life about other policies they're trying to pass, then I don't care. That's between you and your spouse. If it's consensual and everybody agrees, cool, more power to you. If it's not, if you're cheating and violating the terms of your agreement, that's not my business. It's only the business of the people in that relationship. So therefore, I'm not going to worry about it. But if you're going to make it my business by trying to enact laws based on your morality that you yourself can't even hold yourself to, then yeah, I'm going to criticize you for it. So let's see. Gibson Media, Merrill, Mr. Dan, you know Trump will be elected in 2024. I was talking about the 3-term guy. Well, I mean, according to many Republicans, if Trump was elected in 2024, he'd be elected for 3 terms because they think he won 2020, and even though he didn't. I don't think Trump will be elected in 2024. I don't believe we're going to make 45, 47 again, or whatever they want to say about it. But yeah, I don't. I'm not sure why you think that is. Of course, there is an interesting thing. He did in his paperwork that he filed, he did register as a Republican, or he did say that he was running for office as a Republican. There is an interesting scenario that could happen if he didn't. Let's say Ron DeSantis ran as the Republican, and let's say Donald Trump ran as an independent. I'm going to be making a video at some point about that scenario, and why the Electoral College is broken, and how Donald Trump could prove the Electoral College broken simply by doing that. And while no third-party people have gotten a single legitimately received Electoral College vote in very recent memory, it's possible that he could take advantage of that system and finagle his way into office without that much effort. So, and it could be based on, for example, one of the reasons why he was backing a lot of these people in 2022. I'll go into more detail on that in the video, though. I don't want to do too much spoiler. Kimchi, I think Gibson was talking about, three-term guy. Okay. I think that's Ron Johnson. That's the three-term guy. Let's see. Mango Mussolini isn't a has-been. He never was. Loser for life. He just happened to, he lost the popular. He's going to go for the trifecta of losing the popular vote 3 times in a row. That should really hurt his ego. I mean, it was crazy. He won the Electoral College vote, supposedly, in 2016. There's some people who think that there were some shenanigans, but again, nobody had a violent insurrection over it. But he was so angry that Hillary Clinton got more votes than he did that he was trying to get votes in California thrown out because he couldn't handle the fact that she got more votes than he did. That hurt his fragile little orange tiny hand ego. So, and then of course he tries to say, oh, well, I got the most votes of any incumbent president ever. Well, you didn't get the most votes of any president ever, and that's why you lost. Like, come on. Like, to hang your hat on that is just ridiculousness. Just like I think Mastriano did the same thing. Was it Mastriano? Yeah, Mastriano did that in Pennsylvania, too. He was saying that he's gotten the most votes that a Republican or whatever has ever gotten for governor of Pennsylvania. And I was like, well, too bad, because the good Shapiro beat you. So, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't get the whole bragging about how many votes you got in a losing effort when trying to, especially when you're an election denier. Like, I might feel good if I get a certain amount of votes. Like, hey, cool, 12,000 people voted for me or something when I ran for Congress. That 12,000 people thought I was the best choice. Awesome. I appreciate that. But I wouldn't like say, oh, well, 12,000 people voted for me, so that's somehow special. No, it's only 4% of the vote. So... his fragile ego must turn second place into a win. It is really sad. It's sad. It's the most sad. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. Sorry. I did miss my opportunity there, Pattywack. You are correct. Yeah, he's got thin skin. Donald Trump does have a very thin skin. Yes, he cannot handle any sort of criticism whatsoever. You dare challenge him, dare go against him. It's whatever. But anyway, we're getting close to 9:30. I need to go take care of the pup before I head on to sleep. Need to also make sure that the dining room is clean, that the table is cleaned off, and that things are moved out of the way so that we can enjoy our Thanksgiving dinner on an actual table instead of eating on the coffee table, etc. So I'm just going to, once I find the audio to play this. Of course, we'll hang on for a little longer. There we go, show end. So this is, again, this week's episode, the end of this week's episode, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Again, if you want to support the show, patreon.com/liberaldan, or you can buy me a cider, liberaldan.com, click on the buy me a cider button. You can always Venmo me as well. Please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to do so. Get your friends to do so as well, so we can try and hit the end of your goal now of getting 1,000 subs. I'll probably be live tomorrow on Twitch, twitch.tv/nerdydan.com. If you want to talk some more politics while I'm gaming, that's cool as well. Until next week, this is Dan Zimmerman with Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
90 seconds. Seconds. 10 seconds.